Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's webinar. My name is Heath Roberts and I'm the Marketing Director here at Access Systems, one of the UK's leading Citrix and virtualization specialists. Today we are presenting the highlights from last week's Citrix Synergy. If you're not aware, Citrix Synergy is their annual conference, and I think it's fair to say that 2018 has seen a significant number of announcements which is going to impact on all Citrix admins. Before we start the presentation, just a little piece of housekeeping. If you do, and hopefully you do because we love interactions, you do have any questions during the presentation, please use the GoToWebinar control panel and you'll see in there a box where you can ask any particular questions. And what we'll do at the end of the presentation, which we think is around 45-ish minutes, we'll go through them and give you the feedback. So also what we'd like just to run is a quick poll, just so that we know exactly whereabouts we are. So if you can just select one of these of where are you with Citrix, and that should be just coming up on the screen now. So just to get it so we can gauge exactly where people are. So I'm joined today by Ashley Barlow. Ashley is Access Systems, our technical design consultant. And looking through the list of attendees on today's webinar, it's great to see a mix of current clients combined with people who are new to Access Systems. So for those of you who haven't met Ashley before, Ashley works with all of our clients to help solve their business issues. So whether you're looking to make your CAD workstation desktops more efficient by virtualizing them, or implementing business continuity and mobility, or simply looking to upgrade your existing Citrix infrastructure, Ashley is your man. He almost seems to be going on a promotional exercise here, actually.
Keep going.
Ashley is again a certified Citrix expert, and basically played a real integral part in getting Access Systems verified by Citrix to be a virtualization specialist. And basically there are only 8 Citrix Gold Solution advisors with virtualization specialists in the UK. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a sort of an understanding, and you can see where the level that Ashley works at. So thank you very much for answering a little poll. So what are you going to see and learn in the next 45 minutes or so? Well, first off, we're going to give you our thoughts on where Citrix is heading. So the core themes outlined at Synergy. We're going to cover off the new naming conventions, and this is impacting all Citrix products. Some of them are good, some of them are interesting, and some are a bit dull. So we'll cover all those off. We'll then home in into particular areas so that have really sort of raised an interest with both myself and Ashley. So the first one we'll look at is what is going to be replacing Citrix Receiver. From first sight, this looks a really good tool. We're then going to go into what's new in Citrix ShareFile, apart from its fancy new name. And then we'll go through to probably our sort of favourite and most exciting aspect of the moment that Citrix launched at Synergy, which is Citrix Analytics. And basically it's looking at a way to improve both performance and reduce security threats using AI and machine learning. And then finally, we'll wrap up with an introduction to the secure digital perimeter. And again, we'll finalize everything with a Q&A at the end. So what are the core themes? What core themes did we see, and what was the messaging that was outlined at Synergy? Well, the Citrix sort of stated aims from the CEO was they wanted to unify the product portfolio, accelerate cloud transformation, and then expand into new areas. But I think certainly going through the presentations and listening to the content, we're sort of seeing there's 3 core themes here that are really coming to the fore. The first one is all about experience, so about user experience, about making it fast, making it dynamic, but also simple. And again, Ashley's going to cover off a lot of these things during the course of today's presentation. And you can start to see sort of the tangible things that they're looking to implement that will help improve user experience. They're also looking to deliver choice. So whether or not you want to have things on your own premises, or you want to use a colo, or you want to use someone like Azure, AWS, they are giving you that agnostic choice to go and locate your systems wherever is most suitable for yourself. And finally, security. This is a really strong thing, and I think they're really stepping up to the plate in terms of delivering solutions and products that are really going to help. Actually, what were your thoughts as well?
I think it's a smart move to get the messaging into these three areas, these three pillars. You know, we saw it throughout Synergy that the messaging surrounding the unification, it's simplifying that Citrix's messaging. I think it's key. It's a good step forward, in my opinion.
I suppose it's just building on things that they've been doing. I mean, certainly the the key thing that came out of last year was all about WEM and the benefits of WEM. So if you're sort of haven't heard about Citrix WEM, then certainly you need to. It's a brilliant tool to help increase your sort of user satisfaction. And I think this is all sort of summarised neatly in a sort of a key play that people forget. Is that Citrix is an innovation partner with Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. So if any of you are Formula One fans, you know, you'll instantly recognise that Red Bull are a very, very demanding team. They do not accept, a poor performance. I think as Renault find out on a monthly and race by race basis. And also I want to stress that this isn't a badge. You know, it's not just, the Citrix have sponsored Red Bull Racing. Red Bull do actually use Citrix for their trackside operations. So they've got a team based in their head office at Milton Keynes, and all the telemetry data that's going live when they're in the race weekends is going back to a team of 65 people at Milton Keynes, and they're making real-time decisions based on that information. So if people come to us and say, oh, Citrix can't do this and Citrix is slow and you don't get a great user performance, then I think using the likes of Red Bull as a demonstration of what it's capable of is certainly a good starting point. And they produced a microsite as well, which is called www.thenewmobileworkforce.com, and that also then goes through how Citrix and Red Bull are working together to help deliver performance improvements for their racing operations. So it's a nice, interesting site as well if you're into your Formula One. Okay, let's go and start them with the biggie. Well, it's a biggie, there's not biggie, and I'll explain why I'm contradicting myself in a moment. But Citrix have completely, I mean, they were always famed for it, a few years ago, and things had settled down, but they've implemented a completely new naming convention. So when you're in marketing, when they've implemented is a nice high level of strategy. So what they've done is broken down some products into their Citrix Workspace. They've got their networking tools in Citrix Networking, and Ashley's new favourite strand is Citrix Analytics. Ashley's going to cover more off on around analytics later.
This bit makes sense to me. I like this bit. It's the workspace, the networking, the analytics, three sort of top end, top of the rest Citrix products. That bit makes good sense. It's what you're coming on to that I've got a bit of a problem with.
Okay, here we go. So with branding strategies and with marketing integrity, you've obviously got different routes you can go down. You can go down the whimsical and the oblique, or you can go down the very, very, very functional. And Citrix have opted for this approach. So some might say it's the Ron Seal approach to product naming. So basically, it does exactly what it says on the tin. Should we go for it, Ashley?
I think we're going to have to.
Okay, here goes. So, Citrix Workspace, what is included in the workspace? The biggie is, again, Ashley's going to cover this one off, is the launch of Citrix Workspace app. Ashley, just want to cover off a brief introduction onto that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been perceived as the name change for Citrix Receiver. Don't see it like that. It's very much under the radar. Citrix Workspace app is a bit of a revolution for how users are going to be accessing their data moving forward. We're going to cover it off, but that name is absolutely fine. It's not just a replacement receiver, it's more, so don't see it as a replacement for receiver. But that name makes sense and fits into that portfolio now.
We can't exactly say that for the next one, can we?
Not at all.
So share file, nice explanatory name of what it does, has been rebranded into Citrix Content Collaboration. Don't like it, I'm afraid. You know, I think ShareFile, it did fit in it does what it says on the tin. It's just a bit clunky, isn't it?
It is, you know, we could go and visit customers, talk to customers and hear the problems about wanting to have an enterprise file sharing solution. It's like, brilliant, Citrix shares files with ShareFile. Now it's Citrix shares files with content collaboration, and it's just a little bit, does it really say what it's doing? And
yeah, I don't think it's a step forward, but there we go.
No.
Now next one is an interesting point. Zen Mobile. By the way, Zen is dead. It's gone. No more. So Zen Mobile, at first, when we first saw the name, we thought, I don't really like that one. But actually, I think this one does make sense. So the Zen Mobile is now Citrix Endpoint Management. And again, actually, if you want to touch it, the reason I think this one's more applicable now is it's doing far more than mobile devices.
Yeah, drop the, you know, step away from being pigeonholed into being a mobile device solution, an MDM solution, and what more can it do? I know that you know, you're excited about hearing about the Internet of Things integration for endpoint management, so things like Alexa for Business.
Yeah.
So we, you know, with Zen Mobile on my device, I lost the ability to wake up in the morning and ask Alexa what my meetings look like for the day, because she couldn't get into that containerized app. With Alexa for Business, we can now create that integration, so I can wake up and I can challenge Alexa on what my diary looks like, what my unread emails look like, and have a little bit of an Internet of Things engagement with Citrix Endpoint Management. And that one is logical. It's not the worst, trust me, it's not the worst one on the list.
So, and then we've got, you know, the ones that make more sense. So Zen Secure Browser is now Citrix Secure Browser. Again, with them losing Zen Desktop and Zen App have now become Citrix Virtual Desktops and Citrix Virtual Apps. The only thing I'd say there is why use virtual? I mean, Citrix is renowned for its virtualization, so it's almost like saying virtual apps and virtual desktops. I don't see that. Perhaps it's just me.
Again, the big sort of like cornerstones of Citrix, that people know what Zen App and Zen Desktop is. So I can't see the name really going away in the you know, the tech industry, but the, you know, virtual apps, virtual desktops, it doesn't sound as catchy.
Citrix App Layering, again, is very explicit in terms of what that does. And then the one that makes us laugh is the final one, which, I don't know, for me, it just feels like it was made the decision was made on a Friday afternoon at 6 p.m. It was a glorious day outside, the sun was beating down, and they were struggling to come up with a name for what was Zen Server.
They're waiting to go out on the golf course. We've got a beer ready on the go.
It's like, come on, we need to come up with a name. So people go, right, what does it do? Oh, it's a hypervisor. So great, we'll call it Citrix Hypervisor. You know, for me, you know, it's just, yeah, it's a bit frustration, but it's just like, if Nissan was going to launch their new fantastic car, they'd call it the Nissan car. You know, that's sort of that.
Exactly that. The Nissan car, the Citrix Hypervisor is, yeah, bit of a lost lead for me, that one. But
should we move on?
I think we ought to.
Right. Okay, the networking side. So what's under Citrix networking, and the biggie straight from the off, NetScaler is no more. Which again, you know, it's been a really sort of strong name within the Citrix environments. So, you know, they've gone from NetScaler to Citrix ADC.
I think with this one, you know, NetScaler. In fact, one of the CTPs that was at the event tweeted out, "NetScaler, you were our champion brand, but now you are gone. Rest in peace." And I you know, entirely agree with them. A lot of organisations, a lot of tech admins out there knew what NetScaler was without knowing the rest of what Citrix does. NetScaler was a well-established product before Citrix acquired it. They developed it even further and made it an incredible piece of technology to now sort of generalize the name as application delivery controller, where that is a technology in itself, and now it's a name. It's a little bit Citrix Hypervisor, a little bit. People know what NetScaler is, so keep it.
Just stuck with Citrix NetScaler. You know, yeah. It's such a strong. I mean, with regards to the others, they all sort of make sense. You know, you can live with those. You know, so NetScaler SD-WAN is now Citrix SD-WAN. You know, you can see the rest of the list. They all sort of make sense. The interesting ones specifically is Citrix made an acquisition of Sidexis at the end of February.
Yeah.
Again, it looks an interesting bit. We're still getting to grips in terms of how it's going to sort of fit within the Citrix portfolio, but it seems an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a little bit it's still a little bit new, a little bit wet around the ears, in the sense that I don't think Citrix know quite where to put it within their portfolio. It's obviously got a name here as intelligent traffic management. That does what it says on the tin, using the Ronseal reference. It's going to have an impact, and I kind of touch upon it a little bit later, but I think it's still finding its feet. So.
Again, and then finally, the Citrix application delivery management is taken over from Netscaler MAS. Now, if you haven't come across Netscaler MAS before, then I would really recommend you researching it and finding out more. By all means, get in touch with Ashley. I mean, Ashley, I just want to give a sort of a brief sort of.
Yeah, so MAS, when it sort of first came out, probably 18 months ago now, something like that, it is that sort of complementary monitoring and management toolkit for your what was known as Netscaler estate, and it pulled out detailed insight into that HDX protocol for end users. It could monitor your VIPs that were on there, so any load balancing that was occurring and that sort of thing. It was just a reporting and analysis mechanism for the Netscaler estate, and it's brilliant. It does a really good job of what it does. I can understand why they've said we're going to have to drop MAS, which is becoming quite well known because of the analytics bit, and that being a separate product line now. So application delivery management, managing the and reporting on the rest of the networking infrastructure. Yeah, I get it, and it's good. So we'll touch upon that a little bit later on.
Okay, let's move on then to a new aspect, and both myself and Ashley are genuinely excited about the potential of Citrix Analytics. At the moment, a lot of the work is in beta, but it's looking good, isn't it?
Citrix needed to make use of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and making use of it in Citrix Analytics is brilliant. Some of the stuff that we've seen come out of it is fantastic, and I just think it's going to become a massive staple in the Citrix portfolio.
I mean, if you bear in mind this is all new, and you look at where it is now, just imagine what it's going to be like in 12 months or something like that.
We were saying earlier the development. We'll go over some of what it can do later on, but the fact that what it does today is very much mind blowing to what it could be doing in 12 months' time is it's astronomical. Really, really excited about this one.
Cool. And I don't want to. So my contradiction when we first came into this was, yes, you could say it was at the main thrust of Citrix Synergy about their renaming, and it was absolutely not. And I'm really pleased to say that. Certainly, the innovation of the products that we're seeing. The development and the rate of expansion that they've got within their product range, is phenomenal. The renaming was very much an aside issue. While it's going to impact on us because we're going to get the names wrong and there's going to be a bit of confusion to start with, it's not the big thing, which I think is a real positive. Because if we take it back, what's the direction of travel for Citrix? It is all about the user experience. It is all about the choice, and it is all about the security. And some of the things we're going to touch on now are really good, sort of going to show you where they're driving to within that space. So actually mentioned it earlier, and this is again the replacement. So it's not a rebranding; it is the replacement for Citrix Receiver. Timescales on this, Ashley, in terms of when they're looking for.
So they've said it's coming out Q3 of the year, so anything sort of between June and August, I think officially. I think we'll start to see a little bit of it next month, properly released July, early August maybe. But again, this to reiterate what you've just said, the name changing, the name unification thing came out, was shortly followed by this to say, right, we've unified into Citrix Workspace, and the Citrix Workspace app delivers that. This was very surprising. I wasn't really expecting it as such. I didn't think there was a need for it, but then listening to the keynotes and listening to the delivery of it, I realized actually there was a problem that not many people were shouting about, in which there was a fair few places that we needed to log into to get our resources. We needed to log into Netscaler, a unified gateway, to get our XenApp and XenDesktop resources. We needed to log into ShareFile to get our files. We needed to log into Netscaler, ZenMobile. There was a fair few clients that we needed to do, and Workspace app is the replacement for all of them. It is very much the functionality of the existing Citrix clients, along with a containerized browser, all meshed into one. It really does just sort of make sense when you see it. I've got bullet points on the screen, but I'll go through a few sort of highlights that that I sort of picked out whilst watching it. It does the same as Citrix Receiver. You know, we launch resources from it. That's brilliant. But it does also an awful lot more. It can be your share file app as well. So it follows you no matter which session that you're in before. Integrated single sign-on. So I'm logging in once to Zen app, and that passes through. That translates through to my share file. My
virtual apps.
Virtual apps. Sorry, virtual app. You're not going to. No, not today. It has the bottom bullet point there. Universal search is brilliant. I think it's so universal search will search against all things that the app aggregates. So what I mean by that is I log into my workspace app, right? And not only can I see a bunch of stuff that share files and mobile and Zen apps and desktop give me, but I also have the ability to search files that are aggregated by those applications. So if I've got a Maps drive mapped to me and I search for document1.xlsx, it searches that file share. So not within share file, within that file, that whatever it may be, that namespace. And when it pulls back that document and I click it, it then launches it in my Excel published application. So I'm doing a very sort of holistic search with that.
I think, you know, just to pick on that point, actually, you know, ultimately this is what the users are seeing, aren't they? I mean, this is what, you know, our users think Citrix is, you know, receiver, or like because they download it and they sort of utilize it. So, you know, I think this is going to be a real sort of step change for user experience as well.
Yeah, we're sort of both saying that Citrix Receiver is probably the most well-known Citrix product out there outside of the IT administrator's office, because that's what your end users go and have to download to get into the, you know, that's what they see Citrix as. They see Citrix Receiver as Citrix. So it's probably one of the big products to get a you know, a new name and a new look and feel for it, but becomes much more streamlined. Not only do we have those couple of bits that I've gone over, but we've got, and I think it's brilliant, we've got a containerized browser within the application. So this is a Chromium-based browser within my Citrix workspace app. So not only do I see all my content, I've not got to launch a published browser, I've not got to launch a desktop to then browse the web on my LAN. I'm actually micro VPN'd in through this containerized browser, so I can get to my intranets, get to my extranets, my SharePoint sites, all very securely through this Chromium-based browser.
Again, that's going to help with security, you know, with malware prevention, all that type of thing.
Absolutely, because they're using that browser. It's managed by your, you know, you'll have group policies that have got proxy on there that's on your LAN, a firewall. It's a very protected browser. Not only that, it's containerized, so anything that does come through that is malicious can't really break out into anywhere else. So
ideal for intranet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you are once you've authenticated with that workspace app, you're effectively on your corporate network, on your LAN. So I'll be able to get to all my internal websites that aren't exposed externally. A couple of, well, the other big one really is the branding. You know, we've been saying for a long time that you know, you as IT administrators, IT managers, directors, you're not selling Citrix to your end user. You're selling that experience, so they can turn around and say, wow, my company lets me work better than any company I've been at before, and all of that. And we can do so by, it's entirely brandable. We don't have to have that splattering of the word Citrix and logos with Citrix on this workspace app. Entirely brandable, corporate colors, corporate logos. They don't know that it's Citrix they're logging into as such. You're not selling them Citrix, you're selling them an experience. So I think the branding of that looks incredible as well.
Great stuff. Okay, so another area that certainly intrigued us and thought we wanted to share with you was the update around the new features coming out with Citrix ShareFile, or perhaps at the moment it was Citrix was ShareFile, is what is content collaboration.
Content collaboration.
It's going to be a struggle, isn't it? So we're seeing our clients, a lot of our clients, interest around ShareFile. Obviously, the reasons for that, you know, is happening next week. I don't want to say the four-letter word because, in my view, there are various practitioners that are using GDPR just to scare people into buying inappropriate technology. You know, certainly, you know, we've got a real good you know, experience of using ShareFile, and yeah, the announcements of what's come through, of what they've got plans coming out, it is certainly exciting.
And again, a lot of what we saw about ShareFile, the sort of feature matrix of ShareFile didn't necessarily change too much during Synergy, but the way ShareFile is going to be utilized in the future is that's the bit that changed. So again, accessing it through that workspace app, creating that seamless end user experience, brilliant. They've unified a couple of their tools. So the ShareFile Drive Mapper and the ShareFile Sync tool that you might have had installed, that's now one program called Citrix Files. ShareFile's gone blue, so it's dropped the green logo and gone blue now. But they've within that Citrix Files app, you've got the ability to view your previous versions, which I think is quite neat, rather than going through the Explorer view and right-click properties, previous versions, and having to do it that way. Within Citrix Files app, it's a pretty neat user interface to view previous versions of documents within that Citrix Files app.
And again, I suppose that's going to help with things like corrupted files, malware.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well said, really, because yes, it will say if the user notices a corruption or a change, or they've made a save that they regret and want to roll back, gives them that ability. Not to sort of jump ahead at the moment, but with Citrix Analytics and Citrix Content Collaboration, the integration between those two, maybe Analytics can detect a corruption in a document and roll that back for you without you even noticing, without you ever knowing. There's some good tight integrations there that make that make corruption and infection from malware a thing of the past, really. We've been saying it about ShareFile for a long time, that previously, a couple of years ago when it was first released, we didn't want to consider it a document management system. It was a good toolkit for utilizing secure file sharing, enterprise syncing, and encryption. More and more people are saying and asking Citrix, that I'm fed up with my file server on site. I don't need it anymore, because I quite like what I can do within ShareFile, the auditability, the reporting. I kind of just want all my data in there. So can we make it happen? Well, they've created a data migration tool. It preserves permissions and security of folders, so we can get all that data into ShareFile now.
I suppose also the use of storage zones again comes back to that choice again, doesn't it?
Yeah. So to address the choice, we can have storage zones in any of the major hyperscalers. So your Google Cloud, AWS is your on-prem, Citrix Cloud. Get storage zones dotted around, so we can become very available from a ShareFile point of view. We can encrypt those storage zones if you want to as well, so we become very secure within there. There's becoming fewer and fewer reasons to say I should really just dump all of my data into ShareFile. I think we'll see a lot of that. And then so we've already enhanced the end user experience, right? We've made it all seamless through Workspace app. The choice is ours. We can put it wherever we want with the storage zones, as you mentioned. How do we improve the security? They've got a real neat feature here for viewing and sharing with watermarks. So if I want to share a document with you, Heath, but I'm conscious that you might take a photo of that as an example, I can actually say you can have read-only rights to that document, but it's embedded with a watermark. So not only can you not print that doc, not edit that doc, not download that doc, but also if you just take a photo of your screen, it's got my Access Systems watermark within there as well. And
it's also got your email address, so you know exactly if it ever then surfaces somewhere else.
That's right. The user that's viewing it, you can configure a stamp of their email and username and the likes of that. So no, nice movements within content collaboration. The name being the most exciting change, I suppose. But yeah, no, nice little touch upon ShareFile there. So networking and application delivery management. So what was NetScaler and MAS? I see there's two sides of the networking now. There is what were previously good NetScaler features, such as the ADC, Web Application Firewall, Secure Web Gateway, and the Unified Gateway. And then there's the monitoring side of things, application delivery monitoring that we're calling it now. So big changes. He's already mentioned one of them, the acquisition of Citrix. The way I see that working, and I think I'm probably right in saying it, we'll see it in action there hopefully in the future. Multiple sites. I'll pick on you again, Heath. Heath might be sat in an airport going, right, I'm going to access my Outlook app, whatever it may be, right? We've got a data center in the Midlands, data center in the North. Intelligent traffic management dictates which one is the fastest route to get to your data. So it's that solution, that feature that decides which data center and which resource you actually end up with. So I think that's going to be the the way that intelligent traffic management is going to be utilized. They've finally got around to creating gateway as a service. So Citrix Cloud customers were still managing their NetScalers on-prem, their gateways on-prem. Now they've got a gateway as a service, fantastic. This one sort of like popped up on screen for a few seconds, maybe a minute, and they didn't really touch upon it as such. I haven't researched it. It turns out that you can buy hourly licensing of a NetScaler on AWS, which I think it sounds really cool, but then sort of like picking apart use cases for it. I don't know if you've got.
Well, again, I think retail, anything that has like spike demand, so things like Black Friday where they've got sales on, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's seasonal. So
anything where you've got seasonal, where perhaps you might just spike and you want something to manage a short-term spike, that could be a really interesting way to solve that problem.
Yeah, I suppose combining that with the auto scaling that they've got as well, where they're saying again with analytics, the integration to analytics, we can detect that the NetScaler is probably running out of bandwidth on our licensing on our resource, and we create a configuration or a workflow that says, right, I've got to that limit, I now want to scale up in another cloud, just to create that availability and that performance. We've got that now as well. And HA cross zones great. If you've got Citrix zones set up, multiple sites, we can now HA into separate subnets, something that you can do before, so nice feature. Big one is Secure Web Gateway, sort of crept under the carpet a little bit last summer, I dare say. Secure Web Gateway is it's a little bit of, what should I say? So filtering, internet filtering is probably the right way of looking at it. So URL filtering, outbound traffic reviews, and policy-based interception. So it's not a member of the traditional NetScaler family as such. It's assigned to that. It's very much a networking product. Heath, you'll remember that we once had a Citrix Secure Gateway product before that was then replaced by Access Gateway and NetScaler. This is very much a networking toolkit for managing web gateways. So then what was the changes in MAS and what is now application delivery management? Not too much, really, which isn't a problem because it's fantastic at what it does anyhow. There's little reason for it to do more necessarily. Some nice reports with app usage and scoring, so monitoring the when is an application accessed through NetScaler, what application is accessed through NetScaler, giving it a score in terms of peak times it's accessed, which users are accessing it, departments, stuff like that. We can create those kind of reports, which are quite neat. But then the user behavior, again, it comes down to analytics. Maybe one day Citrix Analytics and networking application delivery management merge. It feels a little bit the same, but at the moment they're separate. User behavior analytics, which is sort of bolted into Secure Web Gateway, is very much creating a configuration that allows you to be told about risky users from a data volume and transactions point of view. So telling you the users that are regularly accessing potentially harmful sites and giving them a grade. That's quite a smart move in the way of networking.
And so all these tools are really giving power to the IT team, aren't they? That stop being a gut feel or reacting to things. It's very much living in the live moment
and enabling scientific data to get to the administrators. Absolutely.
Right, another one that we're both genuinely excited about the potential of Citrix Analytics. They're saying it's currently in beta, so it's not for general release. They're expecting general release of the security one any time now. But again, the potential of this, you think this is where it's going from its launch state. I think the potential is fantastic.
I think I couldn't agree more. I've sort of banged on about it. Almost a little bit too much since Synergy. I was with a customer yesterday. I think they've actually joined in this afternoon as well, which is great to see. But I was talking about analytics with them, and there's a little bit of a buzz about it. There's a little bit of an exciting gap that never really existed before that's now being filled by analytics. I think I like to think about analytics as the scenario that comes to my head is like a mother with a poorly baby. And
consider out where this is going, Ashley, but go on.
No, stay with me. Mother with a poorly baby. So what I mean by that is that the doctors of the world out there, they're all trained to diagnose illness based on symptoms that they've been told. A young baby, however, can't present their symptoms to the doctor. They're relying on their mother to say that there's something different, not necessarily brave, but something different about them, and they want them to be diagnosed. So the mother in this scenario is effectively, your Citrix site is the baby, and analytics is the mother of your Citrix ecosystem, and it's not going to wait for something to break and then tell you, oh, IT admin, something's broke. It's saying I can detect a change in behavior from a user point of view. So a user is starting to do something unusual in their day job. I'm going to react to it with a series of workflows, or I'm going to alert people that need to be told about it. It's very much like it's an extra member of your Citrix team, a bit of a threat hunter that can specifically look and take action into things within that Citrix ecosystem. It's really, really cool. Got a few screen grabs of it in action. So I think what we can see here. So first off, Citrix Analytics, it's not just a cloud thing. You can have it on-prem as well. Enabling it in cloud is simply tick of a button stuff. It's brilliant. On-prem, there's a little bit of you've got an agent to install, but that's it. We said that we don't want to spend a lot of time deploying analytics. Don't want to have another dashboard to stare at as such, which is why they made it so simple to actually deploy. From prem, it's just a few steps, and it starts sucking out the data using agents. But going back to what's on the screen at the moment, the analytics has defined high risk users, medium risk users, low risk users, and it's even put some users onto our ever watching Big Brother watch list. So we can see down in sort of like the bottom left, we've got a user that's scored pretty highly. We consider him a high risk user called Georgina. So working from the bottom up in analytics, analytics has detected that there's been excessive access to sensitive files. So we've what's the way to use? We've not created all of our files. We've defined all our files in DLP of what's highly sensitive and what might not be highly sensitive. We see that Georgina has been accessing those sensitive files regularly. We don't like that. We've got a workflow that says start session recording. So all of a sudden, that Synapse and desktop session that George is in, we're recording it now. So I've got evidence of what's actually happening within that session. And when I sort of challenge my user as to why they're accessing these documents that they shouldn't really be doing so, I've got evidence to back up why they were, what was actually being done in there, which I think is really very simple workflow, very effective, and all of a sudden I've got useful scientific data to fall back on. That's just one of the many actions that it can do. It's very much a if this then that scenario, and ands and nands and that sort of thing, logic tables. If the following condition is met, then do the following. This is a little bit relating to share files, so excessive file or folder deletion. I've got a number of options there, and this is what you were saying earlier, Heath. This is the amazing bit. This is what I can do today. I can disable the user, expire all of their links, notify admins, log the user off. There's a bunch of actions there today, and this is in beta. I can't wait to see what this is going to look like in 12 months' time.
And whilst we haven't yet seen the analytics for performance, you can imagine it's not a great leap of imagination to see how it's going to work with app performance. So, if an app is, having sort of log-on performance or ongoing performance issues, then do this.
I think that's a great show, being able to say, so, a lot of us might sit in front of a director all day and have a look at what our current performance is within our Citrix site. If analytics can go a step further and say, right, actually, do you know what, we're running at about 80% volume here, we're going to struggle to get any more people on without creaking a little bit. So one of the workflow actions be spin up another addition to your machine catalog, map it straight through to the delivery group that's suffering the most, and create that shared load, create a better shared load of resources. I think analytics can do it. I think it can go that way in the future, and I think that's a really exciting move.
So we haven't seen the analytics performance side of things yet, but
hoping it's going to cover that.
Yeah,
that would be great. Absolutely.
Okay, and the final thing before we start going into into questions. So another big sort of play from Citrix was around their secure digital perimeter and the framework that they're putting together and they're working through of how their ecosystem fits together.
Yeah, I think this is a nice graphic, and it's a nice concept as well. So the secure digital perimeter. it sounds great, but what really is it? I think for me, there's the 7 areas of a secure digital perimeter. The bottom layer there, you can see the grey box, half box at the bottom. Analytics is a very important part of that perimeter. You want to have that scientific data. You want to have that artificial intelligence and that machine learning and that user learning behavior monitoring your entire infrastructure. A secure digital perimeter is made up of analytics. The 6 boxes on screen, bring your own identity and single sign-on. That's very much what the workspace app's about. Federated access is about. Contextual access, being able to adjust the user's authentication and authorization rights based on the user's content. As I was saying before, he's sat in an airport. Do I want him to be able to open documents without a watermark being on it? Probably not. Just in case you're in a public area, don't know who's watching, don't know who's taking photos. I can make contextual access policies in the workspace app on my Netscalers, on my ADCs. Contextual performance is very much about the characteristics of the application and the network. So can we dynamically adjust our protocols based on performance? Well, enlightened data transport was a feature 6-7 months ago now within Citrix. So the EDT, it's not replacing ICA/HDX. It's a faster version. It's a UDP protocol based rather than a TCP protocol. Unified endpoint management, we've already spoke about that, and WhatsApp Mobile is now going to be called, and the integration to Internet of Things, Alexa for Business, all exciting stuff. Application operations, how do we roll out new updates? How do we roll back from them if they failed? We've got that with machine creation services. We've got that with provisioning services, further integrating into these locations at the bottom into Microsoft Azure. We're able to use MCS in Azure now. We're able to use MCS in Google Cloud. It's an exciting time for provisioning and autonomy. And then the last sort of pillar of a secure digital perimeter is the content control, which is very much share file, which we've already covered. So it's a nice message. It's a nice idea.
Cool. Right. So very conscious that there's a lot of content to get through today. As you can see, there's been a number of announcements, and that there was some more that we've had to sort of strip out just due to time considerations. So really what I want to do is just, if we can just put a poll on here about which things you felt you'd like to hear more of, and then we can utilize these in a webinar for next time. So on the screen now, hopefully should be a poll. So just, again, you can click more than one. So if you think, actually, I'm interested to find out more across them all, please do tick away. Okay, so also, if you are a support customer, then Ashley is running an advice hours on Monday the 21st. I think the invites this went out.
Invites went out yesterday.
Yeah. So again, if you are a current support contract customer, then we run advice hours every other week. And this is basically an opportunity for you to go and pick Ashley's brains. It's not an opportunity to go and troubleshoot. That's what the support contract's for. But it's very much a question, say, I'm thinking of doing this. Where would you recommend me, and how would you recommend me going down? So people find it useful. Ashley, do you want to just go?
I was going to say, I think we're having a big push on advice hours. It's a great session for bouncing ideas around. Now, you'll all know, for ones that have joined in today and in the past webinars, I'll happily talk anyone's head off about Citrix stuff. I live and breathe for it. It's brilliant, but the advice hours is not just about conceptual ideas. It's about integrating the users together. So a good example is when I was talking to one of our medical professionals that joined advice hours a few weeks ago, was talking about soft phone integrations into Citrix environments. It's an idea at this point. It's how we want to move it forward now. Not only did we have a discussion about it, we've got the ability to start saying, actually, there's other people on this call. They're raising their virtual hands in GoToMeeting, saying, I've done this recently. Can we be put together? Can we have a chat about it? And we integrate our users together. So it's a fantastic service to get involved in.
And again, as part of the offer today, so if you're not a support client, as part of the pack, we'll give you a one-off access to the advice hour, so you can see it for yourself. And again, raise anything from today's webinar with Ashley and get his thoughts on it. Also, just a quick sort of run through in terms of the capabilities of Access Systems. So, you've seen for the fact that we are a gold solution advisor with a specialism in virtualization. and we can help at every part of your journey. So if you're very much at the starting point, perhaps you've got CAD workstations that are tied to a physical location, and you want to see if you can put those into a Citrix Virtual Desktop. Then we run a readiness assessment for that. We've had we have great feedback from those type of readiness assessments. Just come back again to the Red Bull racing scenario. If you think that Citrix can't deliver an experience, or perhaps this actually gives you it in black and white. We've also then got two other types of assessments. We've got a performance assessment. So this looks and analyzes your existing Citrix estate, and one that we've just launched probably about 2 months ago now is looking at a Citrix security assessment. So we'll look at to see, have the users got the right level of access to what they should have. We'll then look at the network security. We'll look at your application and data security, and finally we'll look to see how things are being monitored. And as you've heard, Ashley heads up our consultancy and engineering team, so we've got a team of very experienced Citrix consultants. For those of you that haven't experienced or worked with them, they are some, I'm not just saying this, they are some of the best Citrix consultants in the UK. We've also got dedicated Citrix support team, so third line, and the guys there and what they're able to do, and the sort of the cross technology. So it's not just Citrix, it's how it interfaces with all the other different technologies as well. There's a great team there. And finally, we also provide a hosted Citrix as a service through our data center in Derby. So as you can see, we've got the complete capability to help you at every part of your journey. And if there is something of specific interest, then we'll happily talk to you and you can find out more. So that sort of brings a close to today's presentation. I hope, we've tried a different style today. So rather than doing a sort of a classroom approach, we've tried a different style. So any feedback, good or bad, greatly received. We're always trying to make these things better, because at the end of the day, we want you to learn as much as you can from it. And also, please fire through any questions that you have now, and we'll do our very best to go through them and explain. Right, so we've got a question coming in already, which is great. What's the future of Zen Mobile? As seems like VMware with AirWatch have this sewn up already.
It's a competitive market. With the mobility solutions, I've used more of Zen Mobile than I have of AirWatch. Both tick a particular success criteria. What I enjoyed most from Synergy was the way that Zen Mobile and the endpoint management is going, and the integrations to things like the Internet of Things. I've used the Alexa for Business scenario already, but I think that's just a really cool one. It's a bit of a niche that allows me to say, even though my data is containerized on the device, I can still use the Internet of Things to access it safely and securely. Both great solutions, don't get me wrong, and it's all about what the customer success criteria is for which one works for you.
Okay, next question we've got is in terms of branding and when names are going to be announced and released.
Well, I think that's an ongoing thing for them. I saw on one of the keynotes that they said by the end of 2018 everything should have really gone through the cycle, but we'll see some sooner rather than later, I should imagine. I think one that we deal with a lot is obviously Synapse and Desktop. 7.18 is due out towards the end of this month, early next month, and I suspect that'll be a Synapse and Desktop, because most of the devs probably been done with naming of Synapse and Desktop. But then after that, it'll be virtual apps, virtual desktops. So by the end of 2018, everything will be done. Over the next few months, we'll start to see some trickle through.
Okay. Great stuff. Well, many thanks, Ashley. Many thanks to everyone for joining in today. We've had a really good response to this one, so I hope you've found the information useful. If there's anything that, what we'll do now is send the recording of this over to you. And if there is anything you're thinking, oh, we should ask that question or done something like this, then please do get in touch. We're happy to help. So thanks once again, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you.